Welcome back, guys, to CFL Central. CFL content for the fans, by the fans. I almost screwed up the intro, but I didn't this time, so that's great. That makes me smile. It is our Week 11 preview here, and we got another 4 interesting games. One of them, which has made a friend of mine who is also here with me, Rick, a little nervous. Not because of the fact that his team is not capable of this win, but simply because if you lose, it doesn't look good. Thank goodness it at least is in Hamilton, because it would be so much worse if it was in Edmonton. However, let's start with our first game of the week here. We have the Edmonton Elks versus the Hamilton Tiger Cats in Hamilton. Rick, take it away.
Okay, so we have no Godwin, which kind of sucks. However, Anthony Johnson returns.
Yep.
We have Dylan Wynn, who is making his long season debut.
There we go. That's a big one for you guys.
We have Malik Carney back this week. And we don't have Chris Van Zyl, but we have Sexlid as a game time decision.
I see.
And we have our new punter playing this week.
And who was that again? I was trying to remember who you guys got.
Vedvig, that we got from Saskatchewan.
Yes, in the trade.
However, one other thing that I will mention.
Yep.
This is the first time I've ever seen this. I don't think you've ever seen this. So we kind of went practice roster dumpster diving today.
Oh, yeah?
And we signed Jacob Scott, not SC, as Z, off the Saskatchewan practice roster.
Oh,
I've never seen that before.
I don't know if I've ever seen that either. I didn't know.
Apparently, it's very common in the NFL, but not the.
I didn't realize you could do that.
But yeah, he's.
So I guess
Canadian,
the only thing is that if you sign a player off someone else's practice roster, you can't just throw them on your own practice roster. You have to. You have to have them
because Van Zyl's gone back on the IR again. Like, you might as well just call it a career. I guess they wanted another Canadian offensive line, so I guess they went slim pickings.
I see.
And they signed him. So,
well, interesting. Maybe.
But I mean, hopefully, Woods is back in the lineup. So hopefully you.
So how do you feel actually go with your guys' matchup against the Elks specifically?
One other thing I will mention.
Yeah.
Because we did a video on this the other day.
Yeah.
Milanovic is making his debut as our new offensive coordinator.
So this is the first Ticats game without Tommy Condell at the offensive helm. And Scott Milanovic,
and
reminder, XFL legend, extreme. I'm sorry.
And apparently, from what I've been told by players that they've mentioned in the press, Scott Milanovic is not putting up with anyone's shit at practice.
I like that kind of coach.
I am kind of, as much as I'm going to throw a little Timbit out there.
Is he the Daryl Sutter of football coach? Hopefully not.
I would honestly
never touch the fucking field.
I'm just curious to wait to see Milanovic and Orlando Stonehoward switch spots. And then Milanovic don't put up with anyone's shenanigans for penalties, because we're the most penalized team in the league.
Oh, yeah.
I know for a fact he won't put up with no shit.
Like 8 penalties. It was ridiculous. But the thing, you know, it'd be funny, Rick, if after all these changes, you guys still run like 15 screen passes a game.
So here's the thing. Here's a few other tidbits.
Yes.
So Stonehoward's already said that they're not going to change the offensive playbook much.
No, because they just can't. There's no time for that.
But they can make tweaks, and how they make those tweaks is going to depend. I want to say you will see more running plays than Milanovic. You don't see these stupid 5-yard screen passes when you need like 40 yards and you only throw like a 5-yard pass.
Well, that's less the playbook and more the play calling. I will say that part specifically. Although one thing I expect that they'll probably add in maybe 4 plays at the maximum, 4 new plays. They'll do some tweaks to ones that are there. Some of them they'll just leave as is. But the biggest difference I think you're going to see is in the play calling from the sidelines, like in an actual game, in the way that they structure their offense going down the field.
Orlando Steinhauer has not confirmed if Milanovic will be on the sideline or if he's going to be up in what's called the new Iverwin Media booth.
Yeah, I think that's where Buck Pierce does his stuff there with the Bombers. So you kind of get both.
But yeah, like I was saying before, the Pelifoy?
Yeah.
Am I saying it right? Pelifoy?
I can't remember.
The defensive player for Edmonton that used to play for BC.
Purefoy.
Thank you. Purefoy. Yes. He's out.
Yep.
I mean, that takes a banter on their defense, but I mean, they get Lewis back. But the question is Lewis going to be the difference maker or not on their offense? Because their offense hasn't done jack either.
No, that's true. So, end of the day, though, who's winning?
I want to say that with the few defensive players that we have coming in, I want to say we probably throw up at least a 30-point banger.
That doesn't tell me if you win or not. Are you winning or not?
Oh, we're winning. I'm picking us to win. I'm saying we get at least 30 points.
No, I think this is a great example of a time where the Elks may put up a good fight, and this might be a closer game than it would be comfortable. However, I do think the Ticats will end this on top. And the fact of the matter is I can't bet on Edmonton. They're 0-9, 0-9, and they're changing everything except Chris Jones. Everything is going except the Death Star himself. Except he doesn't blow on planets. He just takes a shit on them.
So a couple of things before we move on to our next game.
Make them fast.
I forget what I was gonna. Oh. When you say close game, are you talking about Winnipeg Edmonton from last week close game, or are you talking closer than that?
Closer,
when you say close game,
but slightly closer, maybe a touchdown or just over a touchdown.
Okay, and to answer your question, so I was reading today that the reason why they won't fire Chris Jones is because Sutherland and someone else that they still owe money to from last year. It's not much, but they still owe money. And apparently when Victor got fired the other day, it came out in the media that he has he resigned at all the staff members and assistants. So if you want to go and fire staff members, that's why McAdoo was not fired, because they still owe him.
I see.
If you fire Chris Jones, you still owe him for another year.
Yeah.
So that is why.
Yeah, although if you had a team that was doing better, I would argue they'd make the revenue to make it worth it. But having a team that's performing is not in the Edmonton Elks' nature, so
I mean, if you're gonna go that route, you won't have the revenue if you have
They already don't have the revenue. They already don't. They're giving away tickets. But anyways, we can't banter on this for too long, as fun as it is, because we have to get on to the gloriousness of the Drew Brown train against the Calgary Stampeders. And so we have the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, one of the top teams in the league, against the Calgary Confusion. In the sense of, I can't tell if this team is good or terrible. They're just kind of in the middle. Really depends on the bloody game. And Jake Maier has got to be about the most bipolar quarterback I've ever seen. 300 yards, 400 yards, and then they'll be 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's leading the league in throwing yards, and
not yet.
Well,
not
he
yet.
was at one point. He was leading the league in throwing yards and also leading in interceptions.
So here was my Timbit that I was saving for this video. So Collaros is only 90 points ahead of Mare going into this week.
That's true.
90 passing yards.
Yep.
So how is it gonna feel?
Yeah.
As a Bombers fan,
yeah,
when you see Jake Mare ahead and leading the league in passing yards?
I won't give a shit because the reason is Claire's injury. It's like one of those things where it's like, if you take a look at Sidney Crosby, it's like, wow, Ovechkin might actually be better than Crosby. He's only behind him by like 50 points. It's like, okay, well, Crosby had about 2 years of his career that he didn't play because of injuries. So that's kind of a shit point. Like, that's the thing. It's because Claire,
it's one of those would have, could have, should have.
This game because of injury. So if Jake Maier goes to the top of the list, I kind of don't give a shit. Because at the end of the day, I just want my team to win. And honestly, if Jake Maier loses to the Drew Brown train, I'm going to be very happy. And this is a game where Calgary has a decent shot because the Bombers are going to be playing decent. You know, they're going to be putting up a decent performance. Calgary didn't put up a great performance against BC. They're going to be looking for some redemption there. So this has all the elements to have a competitive game in the sense of when you have Collaros in there, it kind of isn't fair because believe it or not, when you have the best quarterback in the league, absolutely slinging it up all with the best receiving core in the entire league, and they're playing at full maximum potential, it's not fair. It's not close. And so it's going to be one of those things where even though they still have that receiving core, Drew Brown, he's not able to do as good as Collaros, but he was able to put up a good 300 yards in even just that partial part of the game he played last game. So I'm excited to see how he does against the Stampeders.
I mean, Clark Barnes, one of their up-and-coming rookies, isn't playing this week. And the Stamps brought back a former Argo who has done very well in the past, named Shaq Richardson, after he got cut by the Buffalo Bills in the NFL. So they signed him today, even though he won't play against you guys this week. I mean, unless they can get him up to speed.
No.
Because you guys play, what, Friday?
No, he wouldn't have time to learn the playbook and nothing. There's no way.
I mean, I'm sure you could throw him on special teams or something.
Yep. Great. Just great.
I mean,
there we go.
Just to get him
another slow fuck for Greg McCrae to run around, bitch. That's what we're gonna do. Anyways, so end of the day, I think this will be a very, very close game. However, not gonna because of the Drew Brown and because of the way that that teams after not having a great performance seem to have a really good game. The elements align for this to be a close game. Just saying. So I'm going to take my beloved Blue Bombers still in this game. I'm taking in Drew Brown we trust.
Okay. So before I answer with my answer,
okay.
Because you do know that Calgary has already beat Toronto.
Yeah.
How would you feel?
But then they had a stinker against BC, so it doesn't.
Yeah, so this is Calgary's redemption game.
Yes.
How would you feel if somehow Calgary pulled it together?
Yep.
And beat your Bombers?
And beat my Bombers? I would be meh.
Not as bad as Edmonton beating you guys?
Oh, no. Edmonton would be so much fucking worse. And also, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm smart enough to know that, like, this is the Bombers without the best player in the league. Like, and that's the thing. I never, like, it kind of brings me to the point of, like, oh, the Bombers are nothing without Collaros. First off, no, they're not nothing without Collaros. But are they the best team in the league without Collaros? Well, it depends if you call them the best team in the league right now with BC and Toronto as competition. But the answer is a definite no when Collaros isn't on that team. But the thing is that he is. So who gives a fuck? So the thing is that if they lose this game, I'm not too concerned, really, because it's one of those things where Zach Collaros, with the state of his injury, there's no way that he is not back and ready. Like, because realistically, this is a month at longest. There's no version of this where Zach Collaros is not playing come playoffs, unless he somehow gets injured again. That would be the only way. And so the thing is that because of that, we'll be just fine.
Or I was going to say, because I know they have it listed as a neck injury. I mean, unless it's like the diagnosis becomes worse.
I doubt it, because they would have been able to figure that out in this amount of time. And also, football is a lot better with diagnosis on an injury than hockey. Because hockey, it's either upper body or lower body. A guy can get a fucking concussion. They'll be like, it's an upper body injury. And it's like, what the fuck? That is so stupid. But end of the day, I'm putting my Bombers. Who are you putting? Bombers or Stamps?
I'm going to play it safe this week, and I'm going to go with Bombers.
Okay.
But you can betcha, if your Bombers lose...
Yeah, I know. I'm going to get a fucking...
I'm going to be pulling out this, and I'm going to be going, ha ha.
Yeah.
But if we lose to the Elks...
But if you lose to the Elks...
But here's the thing. So I have certain Argo fans coming with me to the game.
Yep.
On tomorrow. So if we lose to the Edmonton, not only do I have to listen to you, but I also have to listen to it from them. And this person knows who he is.
Exactly. I think, and I know who it is, don't I?
You do.
Oh, I totally know who it is. Yeah, there we go. But let's get into our next game. We got the Montreal Alouettes versus the Ottawa Red Blacks. And this is a huge game. Huge game of importance, as the Red Blacks are looking to claw back into this, in the sense that they are looking to claw back into that, like, because they're in last place right now, tied with the Ticats with 3-5 record. The Red Blacks have shown, though, that these past few weeks that they've been getting quite a bit better. Some good performances, got 31 points even last week against the Toronto Argonauts. The Alouettes are a confusing team who seemingly gets a lot of points on paper, however, doesn't have almost the stats to back it up. Not impressive throwing game, not impressive receiving game. Rushing game's just kind of mid, but it seems like they are able to figure that out on defense. So it's one of those things Sean Lemon is going to be an important role for them there. But the Red Blacks, I'm kind of feeling the Red Blacks this week. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I mean, Fajardo has been... So tomorrow's going to be the deciding practice.
Yep.
He has not practiced all week.
Oh.
So they could be going with Caleb Evans again.
And if that's the case, then...
But William Stanback has practiced 2 full days.
That is true.
So if Fajardo does not start, you're going to see another rushing game. And I'm sorry, but this whole rushing, and you hardly pass gets boring after a while.
Well, yeah, no, it does get boring. No, that's true. It's... I don't know. There's not really a whole lot I have to say about this game.
And I mean, Austin Mack has only practiced 1 out of the 2 days this week, so he could be even questionable this week. And you're already out with Grant.
Yeah, well, maybe that's maybe the Alouettes will actually decide to realize that they actually have more receivers than Austin Mack. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna give this one to the Red Blacks. What about yourself?
As much as I hate to say this, I want the Red Blacks to win. But I think Crum is in the past.
You want the Red Blacks? Do you not mean the Alouettes? Because you're competing with a spot with the Red Blacks right now.
But here's the thing: if we win, we have the tiebreaker against Red Blacks. So even if we win and Red Blacks win,
if it was me, I wouldn't even want the tiebreaker. I'd be like, fuck that, just lose. But I guess you're hoping to catch Montreal though.
Yes.
That's it.
So, like, I want to pick the Red Blacks, but my heart is saying play it safe with my predictions and go Alouettes.
That's fair. I can see that. And that will bring us into our last game of the week, which is the BC Lions versus Saskatchewan Roughriders. Utter brutal murder. That is what this game will be. This will be the BC Lions just beating the shit out of the Saskatchewan Roughriders for an hour on national television.
I'm curious
for the world to see.
If you did not, let's say hypothetically Adams Jr. was injured,
mm-hmm.
and Evans was not injured,
mm-hmm.
even if Evans played as the quarterback, you think it would still be a blowout? Or do you think the game would be close?
I think it would. I don't think it would be a blowout. I think it would be closer. I don't think I would say it would be close. I think maybe a 2-touchdown difference or a touchdown and some change.
I mean, they got the Hamilton Evans this year, so I mean, he hasn't really shown.
Well, no. Well, the first game they had the Lions Evans. The second game they got the Hamilton Evans. And the Hamilton Evans, that's a fun Dane Evans to be playing against.
Yes.
And so that's the thing. It really depends in that regard. But I mean, Vernon Adams Jr. is playing, so does not matter because Saskatchewan doesn't have a quarterback. I'm sorry. Having Dolagala does not count. It really doesn't. So there's not much I have to say about this game at all, other than Lions are blowing out the Rough Riders in Mosaic Stadium. It is going to be the Mosaic Stadium massacre.
Alls I have to say,
yep.
Before I just want to give this one little tidbit. I hope Saskatchewan gets ready for an ass whipping, because after this week, they get their bye week. And then they play you guys back to back.
Yep.
So that's why I'm saying.
I hope to kick some ass twice.
That's why I'm saying, like, after this week, Calgary plays Toronto, and then Calgary plays Edmonton.
This next bit is huge for Hamilton and Ottawa.
I mean, huge just in
huge. This is huge
around.
For the East because the Riders are most likely going to be doing a nosedive here. And so it's one of those things where y'all are going to be trying to look for that crossover.
And not only that, but I mean, Toronto is on their last bye week, as scary as that sounds. Then they got to play 10 games like straight.
Yeah.
So if I know some Argo fans are going to be pissed if I say this. If for somehow you're
acting like you don't like pissing off Argo fans. You're a Ticat fan. Shut the fuck up.
No, because Argo fans hate when I bring out the whole voodoo bullshit.
Yes, and you don't like when I bring up the 21st century lack of gray cups. So it kind of goes both ways.
It is what it is. I'm over it. But the thing is, they have no bye week. So
you shouldn't be.
No, but what I'm saying is it doesn't bother me as much as it used to. Like, I'm over it. It is what it is. But they have no bye weeks, so they can't, like, if someone gets injured, there's like no like bye week to like go away, like rest your body.
No, that's true. No, that
so
and
I mean
it's especially useful because if your team starts to take a bit of a nosedive, if you get that bye week, it can allow you to kind of regroup and kind of get back out there. And the Argos don't have that.
The only top teams that they play.
But I mean, we're talking about. Hold on a second here, though. We're getting a little off topic because Saskatchewan, BC. Who are you taking? I'm taking BC.
Oh, I'm taking BC. I'm taking BC.
So, anyways, any last points? I'll let you finish up.
My only thing is, like, the only thing that really hurts Toronto is they play you guys once. They play Montreal twice, so there's deciding top of the East.
Yep.
And then they play us on Labor Day and then a few weeks later. So, other than that, they play Edmonton, Toronto. So, like, those are just playoff warm-up games. I can't see them, last couple of games. They're probably set in some of their players. So it will be an interesting next 10 weeks, I will say.
No, that's true, definitely. So overall, let us know in the comment section down below what you guys thought of our predictions, your predictions as well. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe if you have not already. Make sure to check us out on Spotify as well as Twitter, or X as they would call it now, and Instagram. And we will see you guys next time. Touchdown!